And Noel Flasterstein is with us. He is an attorney and host of The Gun Show, gunrightsforyou.com, and is the website. Noel, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Is it Flasterstein?
It is Flasterstein.
My apologies. Okay. There is this newspaper that, in fact, it's called the Journal News, who publish the names of people who own guns in nearby, surrounding New York State counties. And some people are quite upset about this. The newspaper is saying, wait a minute, these people want to be anonymous. They're asking for protection from the same they wanted the government to enforce their anonymity. And they say they are asking for the same protection from the same jackbooted government thugs that they fear are going to grab their guns and against whom some have actually stockpiled guns. What do you say?
Well, clearly it's an intentional invasion of privacy, probably to upset and infuriate some gun owners. Me, personally, if any newspaper wants to publish my address as a gun owner, I'm fine with that, because I think the intent of the article may have been to harass these gun owners. It obviously, as I stated, invades their privacy. But I think the ultimate result is the non-gun owner is now subject to danger, because if I'm a would-be criminal, hey, here's my list of houses that I'm not going to rob or attempt to invade because I know they possess firearms.
But that's not what these people are saying. They're saying that because our home has been published, we're more likely to be robbed because people are going to want to steal our guns.
Who knows? I don't know what's...
Doesn't make sense to you. If somebody in your neighborhood had dynamite in their basement, would you want to know about it before you let your kids play there?
You know what? But that would be an illegal act on their part.
No, dynamite's legal in the United States. There are a lot of applications and uses for it. They're typically rural and agricultural or industrial, but there's a lot of people who legally own dynamite. Wouldn't you want to know if somebody in your neighborhood had dynamite in their house?
Yeah, I think I would, but at the same time...
So why not a gun?
That's the individual's privacy, and this article was intentionally done to invade that privacy. Now, me, I'm a parent. I have firearms, and you know what? When people bring their kids over, I let them know I have a firearm, just so they're aware, and I put it away. And sometimes I even sit down with the kids and I say, "Hey, that's my firearm. You don't touch it. You see that? You tell your parents. You come get an adult." And then the next thing I might tell them is, okay, now can you hand me my gun? And then sometimes they go for it, and I yell at them. And then sometimes they don't, and they said, no, you told me not to touch it.
So I'm curious, when you were a kid, did your father or any relative have a stash of Playboy magazines around that they didn't want you to get into?
Yes, and when
did you successfully get into them?
When you were caught, you were punished early. Of course.
I think this is a universal male experience. And nowadays in the age of internet pornography, it probably isn't so much a universal male experience. But just because an adult says don't do it, don't touch it, don't go there, not only is that not going to prevent a kid from getting it, but it seems to me like that's going to make them think, okay, as soon as Noel has gone off to the 7-Eleven, we're gonna open that box and pull that thing out and see how it works.
But I've never heard of a child injuring himself or another with a Playboy magazine. Obviously, with the firearms, we're talking on
500 a year, over one a day. Children kill other children by accident with firearms in their home or a neighbor's home. 500 times a year in the United States.
Where are you getting that stat? Killed and injured, or killed?
Killed. There's tens of thousands of shootings, but 500 deaths a year. This is from the Centers for Disease Control.
For children, are we talking ages 1 to 10?
I'm talking about minors. I'm talking about presumably people under 18. The CDC is calling them children. I'm assuming that means that they're not of voting age.
Now you got that gang factor of 12 to 17 who's actually selling drugs and carrying a weapon, getting shot at by other gang members. I'd like to know how many 1 to 10-year-olds, or has anybody, when do you separate out the gang factor? Because a lot of gang members, and I would say probably most of them, or minors.
This statistic already has had the gang factor separated out of it, because these 500 deaths a year are children who are not engaged in criminal activity. These are considered accidental deaths, 100% of them. It happens about once a day in the United States. A kid finds a gun, points it at another kid, or points it at themselves, not realizing that it's loaded, not realizing how it works, and the thing discharges, and somebody dies.
Well, I think if you look at the FBI criminal statistics, or excuse me, the
FBI stats show 11,000 roughly gun deaths a year in the United States, and well over 100,000 shootings. And of those gun deaths, more than half of them are suicides. It's over 11,000 gun homicides, and there's about 20,000 gun suicides a year. I'm sure you know these numbers. I mean, this is your business.
Well, you're talking one thing when actually what I meant to refer to was the Center for Disease Control.
Right.
And I think if you look at their statistics, they're not going to say what you represent, which there are 500 deaths a day. In fact,
a year. A year.
Excuse me, a year. When you look at the Centers for Disease Control, and anybody can go to their website, and they got the statistics. You got to spend a few minutes to learn how to navigate it. You'll see that children are more in danger by a swimming pool. They're more in danger riding a car. I mean, how many children died from car?
Lots of them. Lots of kids die in car accidents, and that's the trade-off that we've made in our societies. We've said, we really need to have cars, and so let's start making them safer. And the number of children who die in car accidents as a percentage of our population today is much lower than it was in 1974 when Ralph Nader first started yelling about seat belts and collapsible steering wheels. In fact, it has declined pretty much every year since we have been making safer and safer cars. I'm not seeing the same technological improvements over the last 30 years in firearms.
Well,
and you and I both know that the stuff is out there. It's trigger locks are it would not be a big deal to simply require guns to be sold with a trigger lock attached to them, or sold in a way and manufactured in a way that they're functionally disabled until somebody who really knows what they're doing enables them.
Trigger locks are, as far as I'm concerned, I don't put a trigger lock on any of my firearms in my home. In fact, when I purchase a new firearm, one of the first things I get away or throw away is the trigger lock.
Well, I'd say your kids are at terrible risk, and so are the friends of your kids.
No, they're not in terrible risk, because things that I know that they can get access to, I put in a safe that is locked and secured that they can't gain access to.
Then what good do those weapons do you?
Well, because I have a sidearm by my pillow, which, they want to put that in paper, they can go ahead and, they can try to steal my guns, but at least I'll have a chance in protecting myself. I'm sorry that children die, and I'm sorry that the things happen that did happen in Newtown, Connecticut, Aurora, and all these other places which are gun-free zones. I'm sorry that these things happen, but I am not going to give up my right to keep and bear arms. I'm not going to give up my right to protect myself. Just because there are idiots out there that don't properly secure their weapons and people get injured. At the same time, I personally do not drink. Alcohol does not mix well with me. Should I make it that everybody that wants
I'm not suggesting you should give up your weapons. I never said that. I think that we should have a national conversation about this. It seems to me like this straw man, this false polarity, government's going to come take your guns, or we're going to get rid of all of them. I mean, nobody's saying that. No, seriously, nobody's saying that. But let's if we're gonna if you brought up cars and the number of kids who die from cars, and you're absolutely right. And so what did we do about that? We said if you own a car, that car has to be registered in a way that we can track that car from person to person, from the time that car is manufactured until that car is ultimately disposed of. We track it because it's capable of causing death. And the person who uses the car has to prove proficiency with using that car with a motor vehicle license. They have to demonstrate that. And they and the car have to be insured. What's wrong with doing the same thing for weapons?
First of all, we don't have a constitutional right to operate an automobile or be issued a license, okay? First of all, let me just throw that out there. Second, I agree with you about the whole gun registration idea. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I'm an attorney. What do I care if the police or the state knows that I have firearms and I've been vetted and properly trained and this and that? I have no problem with that whatsoever. But I do recognize and I understand why the NRA fights that, and other pro-gun organizations fight gun registration acts tooth and nail, because back prior to the Nazis becoming into power, the Weimar Republic required all of its citizens to register their firearms.
Not true.
It
was part of the Treaty of Versailles. It was the other nations around Germany that required Germans to do that. And when Hitler came to power, he relaxed the gun laws in Germany. But that had nothing to do with the Holocaust, and it diminishes the Holocaust, and it's an absurd argument.
No, it's not, because Hitler went to those rolls and disarmed all of his enemies. And one of the first things he did is you
need to, before you talk about this on national radio, you really should read History of Germany. Actually, Daily Kos, I'm pretty sure .com today has and if it's not Daily Kos, it's over democraticunderground.com. You know, a great piece by the Rude Pundit, actually, if you just Google a Rude Pundit, great piece where he digs through all this German history and dissects it. It's a non-argument. If you think that the government is going to come take your guns, you're never going to have enough guns, Noel. You're going to have drones.
They're not going to take my guns.
Then why are you bringing up Germany?
I'm relying on Stephen C. Halbrook, who wrote an article about the Nazis.
Yeah. Well, check it out. Noel Flasterstein. Thank you, Noel, for being with us.